welcome to another episode of Committed and Covered. My name is Tiffany Williams, and I am joined with the fabulous Oakwood University Church's Singles Ministries F.U.S.E. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
How are you doing this evening?
We're good.
Wonderful.
Good. It's so good to be by you, right here next to you. Now, I've given you my name, but let me go ahead and have these beautiful ladies introduce themselves.
My name is Juliette Wise.
I'm Danielle Casillas.
I'm Pamela Hagerbrook.
And I'm Andrea Merritt.
Wonderful. Now, everybody, we are, again, so excited to be here, but I want to highlight one of the members on our team. Drea, wave to the people again. And the reason why I'm highlighting Drea, because she is specifically here to engage with the chat. This evening, we want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your thoughts, your comments, and just like you do each and every episode, you got to tell us what you're thinking. And so Drea is going to make sure that we do not miss a comment. So Drea, we're looking forward to hearing what the chat has to say. In fact, chat, people that are online, if you are willing and you're ready to participate, go ahead like you've already been doing, say your name and where you're from, just so we can see where you're from.
All right.
So now, before we do that, Drea, can you tell us, can you see where anybody's from yet?
Yeah, we have some people here from South Carolina, and
Okay.
we have U.S. Virgin Islands. Well, I wish I was there right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've got
Nice. Well, welcome everybody. So like I said, we are the Singles Ministries, and our acronym is F.U.S.E. And I'm going to have our wonderful leader, Juliette, just give us a little bit of information about F.U.S.E. I imagine that there's some people out there who don't even know that we exist.
I bet. But I'm glad we're here today so we can tell you a little bit about us because we don't want you to be in that place where you don't know we exist anymore. Our name is F.U.S.E, Faith Uniting the Singles Experience. And I'm going to read you our mission because I have not memorized it. But our mission is to seek to meet the needs of Oakwood University Church singles through connection, support, spiritual growth, and enrichment, healing, and fellowship. All right, I want to tell you a little bit about our vision. Our vision is to provide impact through intimate connection to singles in our church and the community at large. We seek to encourage and support Christian singles in their pursuit to live godly and fulfilling lives as they take on their personal, professional, relational, parental, and social challenges and pressures that life presents, aiming to provide an environment that affirms our adult singles, whether by choice or circumstance. Why is all of that important? Sometimes we can be wrapped up in a singles program and think it's only for the space of dating. We want you to know that F.U.S.E. is multifaceted. Singles we are not just one name. We have many things, and that's what's represented here on the stage before you. So we want you to know that F.U.S.E. is here for you, whether you're a parent, you're a professional, you're a single by choice, or a single by circumstance. We want to create a community that welcomes you in it. All right, so join the conversation with us.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Juliette. And we cannot wait to see, who responds to this welcome that you've given people. So just to kind of get the conversation going before we begin, well, let me tell you what the topic is. We know we're Singles Ministries, but have we actually said what the topic is? I don't think so. I'm just so excited. I'm ready to dive in. So our topic today is Single Life Debunked. Real talk on faith, love, community, and living single. All right, so I'm gonna get us warmed up a little bit to get ready to begin the conversation. And panelists, I wanna ask you a question.
All right.
What is one scripture or principle that has guided you in your single journey? And why is it meaningful to you? So I won't call on anybody, this isn't school, but if whoever feels so inclined to share their thoughts.
What is one guiding principle that has led me in my single? First, I'm going to encourage my team, y'all. We are here.
Yes.
We are here. We are here to speak to the people and give the people what they want.
Yes.
Okay.
Say that.
And so, in talking, we got to let them know. So we want to break the nerves off a little bit and get into this conversation and say, what is a scripture? What is something that has guided you in your single experience? One thing that has guided me in my single experience, I can't tell you directly a scripture, but it's in me knowing that people need community. It's in me knowing that oftentimes people will not speak about the community that they need because of shame. It's in me knowing that through the survey that we created on Oakwood University Church website, where we were able to do a survey of singles in our church and identify the statistics related to our singles, that a lot of people are lonely, and not just lonely for companionship. We get stuck in this idea that singles are seeking companionship all the time. Are we seeking companionship? Yes. Some people are seeking companionship, so let's not confuse that. But in the midst of that, some people are seeking community. And what I want us to be able to display in the space of seeking community is how Christ walked this earth.
Yes.
He loved people in the space of what they were, and he showed up for them. Now, I may not be using correct English, so he was a show-upper. Show-upper.
He was for the people.
He was for the people.
Yes.
And so we are here for the people. So that's what motivates me. What motivates me is understanding that people need people.
Yes.
And creating a space for you to understand that we are the people if you're single and you want to be a part of it.
And I'd like to piggyback on that, because in the space of establishing community, we want to also love on people, because that is what Christ did. He loved on people. He met them where they were, and he just showed the love. And that is, I think, in large part too, what people are needing in the community is that we care and that we love, and we want to be able to exemplify that in our F.U.S.E. ministry as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And to go with what Pam just said, in the beginning of my journey as a single, and I also want to interject this because there are people who may feel ostracized by being single, but you have to remember everyone in this world was single at some point. They were not born married. So we have all had this experience at one time. Some people's experience may have lasted longer than others. However, we are all valid. We are all humans looking for connection. And, I would say in Genesis, the Bible says that God saw that Adam was alone, and he did make Adam a companion, Eve. But I think regardless of whether your companion would be a spouse or a friend or just a community of women like these lovely ladies that I have been had the pleasure to meet, having that community, God knows that it's not good for us to be alone, but until you find that right person, he can provide community for you and, friends, good support that you can rely on.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Ladies, you sound like you're ready to have a conversation. I love it. Drea, was there anything that hit home in the chat, or we ready to just move on into the...
We are ready to move on.
All right. So here we go. All right. So I love a good game. And while we're not going to get to actually play an actual game per se, we have some props to help us with our conversation. So first of all, I am going to read a series of statements. And I'm going to give the panelists an opportunity to identify whether or not the statement is a myth or a fact. So ladies, let's demonstrate. If the statement, when I finish the statement and it's a myth, what are you going to do?
Myth.
Okay, look at that, they are ready. And if it's a fact, what are they gonna do? All right, so we are good to go. And audience, Drea represents you. So we really do want to hear what you have to say. And she too has a paddle that will show myth or fact.
Yeah, so please talk to me. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy.
Exactly. All right, so are you ready?
We're ready. Yes, we're ready.
And I just want to say they do not know what I'm going to ask them. So, just like you, they're ready to hear the statements. And I want to remind you, just as we're playing along, I know we get excited, but hold up your paddle after I finish the statements.
Okay.
Because some of these are going to be, hot topics, hot button statements. All right. So myth or fact? All single Christians desire to be married and have children. I'll read it one more time. Myth or fact? All single Christians desire to be married and have children. What do you say? Myth. Oh my goodness. It's a myth. Are you sure? You mean everybody doesn't want to get married?
I don't think
I
everybody
don't
wants to
think
get married.
everybody
What
wants
y'all
to get
think?
married.
No.
Nope.
I think that some people want to get married and some people choose not to get married. Some people find, what is it called, solitude in their singleness, just like the book we've been reading. What is our book called again?
It's a long time.
It's a long title.
Single, engaged,
dating.
Dating, married,
all the groups.
all the groups.
All the avenues.
Yeah.
right. And so I know part of the book was talking about Paul. Do you all remember that part? Does
Yes,
anybody
yes,
do? And want to
yes.
say anything about it?
I think it was saying that some people devote their lives to being single because they would like to serve the Lord. And I believe Paul was one of those people in the Bible. And, you know, we might be in the 21st century, but I think there are some who might be on that same journey. And other people may have just been disillusioned with the dating pool or what is out there, whatever the case might be, and they have chosen their solitude and their peace. So,
And they're fine with it.
Yeah.
They're okay with it.
And most people in the chat here are saying that it's a myth. There was a comment from Janae Mueller that I don't see. Could you put that back up for me, Miles?
Let's see if we see that one.
Let's see if we see it. I don't see it
Do
on
you
my.
have a?
I don't see it on my phone anymore.
Can you give us a little?
Yeah, she was saying that this was her second chance at singleness.
Okay.
So I think she's seeing singleness as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Awesome.
and I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it is an opportunity to understand and learn ourselves, learn what we want, what we like, you know, what we don't like. It's definitely an opportunity. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Love my second chance of singlehood. God created as an individual. God created me as an individual, single, unique, and whole.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you, Jane.
That's important.
That's
You are.
important.
We are.
Yeah, I was just gonna say sometimes we're made to think that we're not whole,
Right.
Because
Exactly.
we're waiting for
Right.
our partners.
Right.
That's just not the case.
And hey,
But I want to also add to that, Tiffany, that, you know, an unmarried life doesn't mean that it's unfulfilled.
Right.
that's
Because
good.
it's so much that we can tap into being single because of the fact that we have the freedom and we have the time and we have that, you know, to our advantage. So I think it's a plus in some instances that we have that opportunity to be single.
and can I say one more
Yeah,
thing?
sure.
One thing that stood out to me in the sermon that Pastor Snell was saying today, he said God chose us because he prefers us.
Yes,
And
yes.
that spoke to me because it's some people are waiting in their singleness because they want to ensure that you are choosing me because you not only do you like me, not only are you attracted to me, but you chose me. And then when we build that relationship with God and we know that God is choosing us because not only does he love me and he want me to be saved and join him in his kingdom, but he prefers me.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
so
So
thank
good.
you for
Yes.
that today, Pastor Snell, because that really
Yes.
spoke to
So
my
good.
heart and saying, wow, that's pretty deep. That's a whole different experience.
Ooh, May just said it's better to be single and happy than to be married and miserable.
Yes, you better
Yes.
speak it, May.
That's right.
Speak it.
Absolutely.
Oh, May.
Yes,
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for that.
yes.
Ladies, all right. Let's go into our next myth or fact. Are we ready?
All right,
ready.
yes,
All
we're
right,
ready.
audience, are you ready?
You ready,
I'm
audience?
gonna agree. I'm going to assume you're ready. Here we go. Myth or fact? Your value, identity, and worth are grounded in your relationship with God, and not your relationship status.
Say that again.
Okay? So grounded in your
Yes.
relationship with God and not your status.
Amen.
All right. It looks like we're saying fact.
We're
Yes,
saying fact.
fact on that one.
Fact. Okay, yes. I love it. Do we have anything else? We kind of talked about that already, right? But is there anything else you want to say before we move on?
So Nicole is saying being single. Let me see. Sorry. Well, Nicole's saying being whole in Christ while single definitely benefits the marriage when you get married. So I think she's speaking to when you come the wholeness that we're
Yes.
saying that we are.
Yes.
Yes.
You don't go out looking for
For
your
it.
better half.
Right.
Yes.
You know, or
Right.
you come whole. Two whole people come together.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, it used to be that we would hear that.
Yes.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
looking for my other
Other
half.
half. Right.
And,
Or my soulmate.
My
Yeah,
soulmate.
mate,
And,
yeah.
and while you can find your life partner whom you love, you do need to come whole.
Yeah.
Right.
Or well and ready
Right,
to
right.
embrace another being.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
because well, if you don't come whole, you're constantly seeking for them to fill a cup they can't fill.
Yes.
And so you're in
Yes.
a relationship and
Yes.
you're constantly pulling from
Yes.
a turnip, and they can't feel that because you haven't filled it within yourself.
Exactly.
If you don't do your work, then
Yes.
you're starting out pretty bad. What were you gonna say, Pam?
And I was going to say that, you know, that movie with Jerry, I can't remember, McGuire, where he says, "You complete me."
Yes.
And I was just like, no, sweetheart. No, I cannot do that. Humanly, I cannot do that. Only God can complete me. And so that's where my completeness is found in Him. And then, and then when it comes to meeting someone else, I can't put that. That's a lot of pressure.
is.
That's a lot of
I don't want that
pressure.
pressure. Don't put
Yeah,
me
don't
through
put.
that
I can't feel those shoes. Only God can do that. And so-
Thank you, sis. Chantel White. I'm sorry, that's not. She just said impossible.
She said impossible.
And I think
Chantel.
God in
Yes.
His mercy can give you this time as a single to get to know yourself, to
Yes.
fix those things that you have bitterness about, or whatever the case might be, hurt or, childhood trauma, all these things. God can give you this time to prepare for your spouse, because in His mercy and His love, He's going to make sure that you are whole, like everyone's been
Yes.
saying,
Yes.
before you get into something and ruin it, possibly
Yeah.
with the way you behave or the way you respond to people. So, take that time. Don't be bitter about it. I know it's hard sometimes when you see the little Valentine's Day.
Let's go get yourself some flowers.
Right, love on yourself.
Yeah.
Or love on a friend.
And love
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Because I think sometimes people get so weird. Like, when I say you're gonna love on yourself, they be like, I'm not doing that. Why?
Right.
If I like flowers, I'm buying myself
Some
flowers.
flowers.
And I'm-
Exactly.
No, I'm gonna wait till you get them.
You had to wait for a long time.
Girl, the flowers gonna be
Missing
dead and dried. So it's loving on yourself, because the
That's
other thing
it.
about loving on yourself is when you love on yourself, you're teaching yourself what you need to be loved.
Yes.
If you walk into a relationship and you have no idea how I need to be loved, but I'm so focused on seeing what other people have, but I have no idea what I need to be loved. I'm just looking in other people's windows. If I start buying my own flowers or taking myself out on dates and spending time with myself, now I know how to tell you what I like, what I don't like, and how to tell you, and then I can, what am I trying to say? Get into a space where I know if you prefer me, right? So I like that.
And then being able to have that time with the Lord, and being able to have that communion, that intimacy with Him. I mean, it's a powerful thing. And I mean, just having that designated time with Jesus before I start my day, before I go out to do what I have to do for work or whatever. And just being able to have the Holy Spirit and the Lord pour into me. That's powerful. And you don't have to be single to do that. I'm not saying that, but it just allows that freedom to have that opportunity.
Loving on yourself, isn't that a form of mental health?
Yes.
Mental
Yes.
maturity, right?
Yes.
Self-care.
Yes.
Nothing like it.
Nothing like it, honey.
All right.
Tiff, Miles, can you put up the comment from Miss Dimitri? She says, I am 69 years young.
All right.
I added that young part. And love how I am closer, I have my close relationship with God. Why would I want to go there again? Why would I want to go out there again?
And sometimes that's what you figure out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you figure out, that marriage is not for you.
Right. That's
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
It's okay.
And I think our book talks about, too, that when you are married, your attention is elsewhere, right?
Yes.
Because you have a family to care for. You have
Right.
a spouse to ensure that they are being, have their needs met and fulfilling your
more
duties as a
responsibilities.
spouse, right? And so I think, being single, you do have the time to devote to God, to devote to even your hobbies, not just focusing on a person or, your personal growth, but also you could work on yourself professionally, financially, you can build. There's so much more opportunity. You can travel.
Yes.
And, you don't need to try to find someone to be able to do those things. So you have that time.
All right. So thank you so much, ladies. Let's get another one going. All right.
right.
All right. The next one I have for you, myth or fact. Singleness can be a valuable and fulfilling season of life with its own unique opportunities for growth and service. Is that a myth or fact? So we kind of dove into that already,
Yes,
so we're not going to linger here because we have some more, but it is a fact, right? Does the chat agree, Dre?
Yes.
And that lady said, Linda said, that's so true, lady in the middle.
Thank you, Danielle. So true.
I think that you did, yeah. Okay.
All right, so next one, myth or fact? Happiness in singleness is unattainable, unrealistic.
Myth.
Dre didn't even wait for the chat. I told you guys these would be some hot button issues that we're discussing. Dre said, I got y'all. Myth. Do we want to talk about it, or it's just enough said?
Enough said.
Enough said.
Enough
It's a
said.
myth.
But some people did say it was a fact. I'd love
Okay,
to.
so let's.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love the people that said that it was a fact. I'd love to for you to expound upon that a little bit for me.
Do you, Juliet, can you think of why people may think that singleness is just the end all be all and why that makes them unhappy or unfulfilled?
I think that oftentimes singles, whether it's subconsciously, societal or familial, your environment, your culture, I think it's often worn as a scarlet S on your chest, right? And I think that a lot of people carry shame with their singleness because they think that they're incomplete. And so it goes back to that what we were saying a little bit earlier when we were talking about you complete me, because I think that oftentimes we've been taught that you need, especially in different environments, whether it's our religious environment, our familiar environments, or our backgrounds, we're taught that you need to have a partner to be complete, right? And not everywhere is that taught. But so then I think that that's oftentimes where that belief develops, and it's very hard to debunk it, because even if you see it in your environment, if your loneliness is solely associated, if you think, because I think that's subconscious and I don't think it's the truth, but I think that oftentimes we believe that our loneliness is solely associated with not having a romantic partner. But there needs to be more deep diving to understand that if I'm lonely to this degree, then I'm going to be lonely in my marriage also.
But then also, think about the flip of that. You can be married, partner with somebody, and miserable and lonely as well. That loneliness could be happening in a marriage. So it's not just because you're single, you're lonely. That happens in marriages too.
I think it goes back to what Juliet said earlier, trying to use a mate to fulfill you.
that, yeah.
Or just fulfill you in any way. Yes, you do look for people who
Compliment you.
Yes,
Compliment.
but not fulfill.
Yeah.
Right, and I want to address a comment that I saw.
Tiffany, if we could go back, Miles, to Maxine Casil's comment.
That's my mom.
Hi, Mom.
There she is.
We love your daughter.
Yes,
We love her.
yes.
And I love you guys.
And what did she say, Dre?
So she said we need to try not to sound like we're promoting a life of solitude.
Absolutely.
God wants us to get into those relationships, even the messy ones, in order to develop a Christ-like character, practice and to practice forgiveness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is a season
Good stuff.
for some people. Yes. I want to be married, and I'm open about that. But also, I need to live life, enjoy myself as I prepare for what God has for me, right?
That's right. That's
So
right.
we're real that we, there are people who desire.
Yeah, and I think that what's important is I think sometimes we can get confused in the idea that it's promoting singleness to be able to be content in singleness. And so it's not necessarily, and I don't necessarily think it's bad to promote singleness if someone desires to be single, right? But I think it's a balance in saying, what is your relationship with God, and are you allowing God to lead you in His direction of what He has for your relationship, right? And then solitude is also important in balance. I need to have a sense of solitude within myself in order to be productive within a relationship. And so I think it's the balance. Thank you, Ms. Maxine, for sharing that, because I think it's the balance of us understanding that because the message is being said that I can be happy as a professional, as a mother, as a friend, and a person desiring companionship or not, and be okay in that space. I can still love God. I can serve. I can do those things that I'm called to do in both a marriage and singleness. So I do want to be present with the understanding of that. And I think what's important is for each person to assess where you are, understanding your relationship with God, and understanding you get permission to be in whichever space you choose to be in.
I see a comment that I just love.
I love it too. I see
One,
it.
the
One is
a whole
and
complete number. Yes, it is.
And it's okay to be single.
It's okay
And then
to be
on
single.
on that same note with Juliet, what she was saying in terms of the singleness, I like the idea that God is using that time to prepare me for that partner. And
Yes.
it's some things in me that need to be fine-tuned or pruned, to be able to be in that marriage.
Are you telling me you're not perfect?
No.
Are you sure?
Girl, I wish. But it's not.
We're not.
No, we're not perfect. No.
Yeah, so it's absolutely important to use the time wisely.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. I think her name is Mathilde. I can't pronounce that. Mathilde, yeah. It said it can be unhappy for the person who wants to be married,
Absolutely.
and it's not happening.
Yes.
So I think,
Yes.
I think
Yes.
certainly that's something that we need to address.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
while we're here.
And we are not negating these feelings,
Yeah.
right?
Because
that's
they're
real.
true. That's
And I-
real.
And I want to say, what did you say the name?
He pulled it up. He pulled it up.
I agree, Miss Matilda, because it's very true. It can be an unhappy. It can be unhappy for a person who wants to marry. It can be,
Yes.
I agree, because I don't want to even debunk that for myself.
Right.
Right.
Because
That's the
I'm
fact.
not saying that every moment is joyous, because I do desire companionship. I'm very vocal about that. I think that. So it's good to acknowledge that there are moments of unhappiness. I think the largest thing in our unhappiness is when unhappiness related to something we cannot control if it's not happening yet, is navigating my life. If I
Or it stunts you.
Yeah, or it stunts my growth, and I just
Yes.
stop everything because I have not met this companion yet. It doesn't mean I don't desire it, but I cannot be paralyzed
That's it.
because that hasn't happened yet. I can't control when it's going to happen. And so if I'm truly trusting God and I'm asking God to lead and guide me, and I ain't gonna lie, now that sometimes gets frustrating because you're like, okay, I've been trusting for a while. Where you but, real talk. I don't want you to get the impression that we're saying, oh, this is wrong. No.
It's
What-
challenging.
It is
It's
very
definitely challenging.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we've talked a lot about this, but I want to reiterate, I think that's the importance of community.
Yes.
And having these conversations. Let me tell you, the way we're talking now here on this panel, we do this. This is what we do. We have
Yes.
these real conversations about how we're feeling. And so that helps to have like-minded people, or to have someone to have a different point of view who can, let me know, oh, Tiffany, have you thought about it this way?
Yeah. Right.
Or just come hang out with me. You
Right.
feeling a little lonely today? Let's go do
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Right.
And these feelings are okay to have.
Absolutely.
They're
Sure.
absolutely okay to have.
And can I say one thing, y'all? Rochelle said there are men in the chat, but they're not coming to the singles meetings. So the thing is, we're having singles activities. I don't know if there's a bug repellent or what it is, but there are singles events, and for some reason the men ain't showing up.
So the men aren't showing up to the singles
Girl, no.
ministry.
No.
Myth or fact?
And I don't want to delve too far away, but maybe it's perhaps they feel nervous that they're going to be pounced on.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for bringing that in, because I have tried to do my own type of focus group, and thank you, Billy. Billy, if you follow us on Facebook, F.U.S.E, Faith Uniting the Singles Experience, that's where we do a lot of our marketing. In addition to that, we are trying to create an email list, and we will update our survey online so we can get you on that email list. So I'm gonna get back.
So one of the meetings, one of the questions was what meeting? So we have a third Friday every month get together. That's one of our meetings.
And then we're going to also incorporate, it's getting warmer, we're going to incorporate some activities.
Yes.
So everything's not going to be a meeting, but we're going to have some fun too, right?
Right,
Yes,
most
yes.
definitely.
Right, but you wanted me to answer that question, right?
Sure.
Which one were you telling me to do? You said about. You said.
Oh, about the guys being pounced on?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to respond?
Sure.
Sure.
Or Danielle, did you want to talk?
Well, I think what I was gonna say ties back to the myth or fact situation.
Okay, talk to us
You can
briefly
s-
about
yeah.
the being pounced on, especially as it relates to F.U.S.E, and
Right.
then we'll bring it home with Danielle.
Right, since we're talking about our meetings and all that.
So what I'm understanding, and this is only from talking to other people, so I really need you all. The reason why we need you here is because I need your opinion. I can't speak for you. I can only speak for what I am learning from small percentage of people. But what I do feel like sometimes makes men uncomfortable coming to what I've heard makes them uncomfortable coming to singles events is because they feel like they're going to be the only single man in the room, and then in being the only single man in the room, they're going to have to be representative for all men, and then if you have a bunch of bitter women in the room, then they're going to be the representative or the other end of the bitterness, and so it just doesn't serve them.
Right.
And so I think that what we're trying to do is do our best to provide a space where both men and women of ages 18 and above feel comfortable in this space, and that's why we need your responses in our survey so we can do the best that we can to do that, and the best way for us to be able to communicate with you, because some people don't get on Facebook. And we're doing better with adding to the newsletter. We're learning the system. I'm learning the system, accountability, learning the system, trying to get information out to you. But I think that that's a big thing. Learning what is the repellent is what I feel sometimes, because and it's not just the men, because I was at our what is it called, the fair, the
Ministry fair.
fair, and people literally act like they don't want to get close to the table. I know I'm cute. But they act like they don't want to get close to the table. They're like, are you single? I know you're single, but you do not want to come to the table. And so you guys have to help us, because we are trying to create a community in the best way we can.
Yes.
But you got to help us by telling us how we can help you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And when we get to the end, we'll talk about how another maybe form that they can contact us, because I'm seeing a lot in the chat about getting information. So maybe we can give out an email that they can. We'll see. I don't know how Juliet feels about that, but we'll see.
Okay. Yes.
But as we move on, Danielle had a comment to bring us home, because we can do this all day.
Yeah.
So bring us home.
I was gonna quickly talk about, happiness being unattainable and being single, and that whole myth, really. Because I think sometimes we have to be careful not to allow that unhappiness or those moments of, loneliness or whatever to turn into bitterness, so that the men don't want to come. Right. Don't allow it to turn into bitterness, and also don't allow it to separate you from God.
Yes.
Because if you get angry enough, you can say, God, why are you not doing this? This is, I've been praying for how many, how many years. And why you're not doing this, you're not doing this. But I think we need to maybe reflect and just trust God, because he really does prefer us, like we've been saying. So, just don't lose that faith to know that he loves you.
That's right. Thank you,
Tiffany,
so
I'm
much.
sorry. Let's be encouraged said alone and lonely are two different things.
Very
That's
much
so good. Thank you for that
Yes.
comment.
Thank you. Yes,
Very
absolutely.
true. True.
All right, we're gonna move on to another myth or fact. All right, let's see. We are gonna do this one. Singles have the opportunity to cultivate happiness through self-discovery, meaningful relationships, and pursuing their passions. Is that a myth or a fact?
That's a fact.
That's a fact, and we talked about it. We've talked about it consistently.
Oh my gosh, we have somebody listening from Africa.
Hi,
Awesome.
welcome.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Yes.
I'm gonna move on because
Welcome.
I have a couple more.
Okay.
And our time is waning. But
Okay, sorry.
no, we're good. We're doing well. Let me move on to the next one because we talked about that. Thomas.
Yes.
Okay. Singleness. Another one. Singleness provides an opportunity for individuals to develop a deeper relationship with God and discover their unique purpose and calling. Is that a myth or a
yes.
fact?
That's a fact.
Fact.
We talked about
Fact,
it.
yeah.
We're using that time wisely,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
For those who are wanting.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that was it. That was it. I didn't have more.
E.T. Taylor said that's a strong fact.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, too, when you are, can you read the statement? Because I was going to respond to something you said in the statement.
Singleness provides an opportunity for individuals to develop a deeper relationship with God and discover their unique purpose and calling. So we talked about activities or hobbies, but I'm talking about your purpose and your calling.
Right, and I want to, can I give a little curveball on that?
Sure.
Because I think that in finding our purpose and our calling, you can also be studying who you are and how you want to show up as a wife.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or a husband, my bad. And so, so how do you want to show up? Like, am I living in the way that I would want to show up as a wife? What does it mean to me to be a wife? Is it okay for me to fantasize about that and say, oh, this is how I want to live? And am I living that way? Does my home represent that? Do my pajamas represent that? Going down to the small things, right? Am I living in the way that I want to experience being a wife? Or am I over here talking about I want to be a wife but don't know what that is? I know that was my story for a long time. I'm like, oh, I'm so sad. I just want to, why won't, you know, that thing. And I don't want to invalidate it because it was a real period. However, in that space, I had to realize that I've been doing my work and learning to understand myself more is what actually is a wife?
Exactly.
What is the responsibility of a wife? If I was to get married in these seasons where I thought I wanted to be a wife and I had no idea of what that was,
Yes.
what would I have been? Would I have been in a happy marriage? So I also, when you're discovering your purpose, your professional, if you're a parent, in all those spaces, also discover what am I looking to be when I am in that union? And am I being that now? Am I being all the things I'm saying I want? I want this, I want that, I want a man who's healthy, I want him to do this, I want him to do that. But are you doing it?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so reminding ourselves of those things.
Yes.
And that time is precious. I mean, that time is precious to do that preparation work. And then help, you know, and then having, you know, friends like you guys that will just call a spade. Like, no, Pam, you're tripping. No, you're tripping. You're not on the right track. And then have that community, which is what we keep going back to, that you can have that freedom to express yourself and say, hey guys, am I thinking about this right? Does this make sense? Or am I just, you know, on another planet with this thought? And so that time, again, having that singleness and having that time to be able, like Juliet was saying, to prepare for being a wife and understanding what it takes. You know, some people go into these marriages, and I had friends that went into marriages that they just went in it for the day with no clue of what was really going to be, what they were going to be really up against, you know, and then, you know, and then like, if I'd have known this going in, I would have, you know, done something different. You got to go in that marriage eyes wide open and, you know, and can't be, you know, in this fantasy of what you think it should be.
Tiffany, here I'm looking at a comment from Carrie. He's saying, "What is a wife? What is a wife of a virtuous? A wife is a virtuous woman." And he said it's in the book of Proverbs. And I think,
31.
So I think that you know, that's definitely something. I think what Juliet was saying is, you know, we can read that scripture, but what does that really mean?
Exactly.
And I think
Exactly.
that gives you time, being single gives you time to understand what that is and to prepare yourself in that way to be that virtuous woman.
Yes.
So thank
Or
you for
man.
Yes.
Right, because you need to be virtuous too, let's be clear.
I also wanted to add to that comment that Carrie said, that you want to practice your discipline while you're single. Not because you're single means you can, you know, be out here doing anything you please. If you want to be that Proverbs 31 wife or a Proverbs 31 husband.
There's info on the Bible
There's
for
a
husbands.
text for you guys because I
Yes.
know the Bible does not leave you out.
And y'all know it too.
Yes, but if you want to be, a young man, how can a young man keep his way pure by taking heed according to word of God?
And a priest.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you want to be that person, you have to practice that discipline in your singleness and not think that you're going to magically change
Right,
Yes,
that part.
yes.
when the time comes.
Yes.
So.
I like Chantel's comment.
Thank you.
She
Thank you,
says,
girl.
"This is great, ladies. Y'all are ready. All of you are going to get a husband after this segment."
Hey. We received that in Jesus' name.
That is hysterical.
Love it. All right. No, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
and another thing,
Yeah, sure. No,
really quickly. Another thing that I think, as you are preparing, sometimes people say, I'm looking for a man that makes six figures, or I am looking for a man that's emotionally whole, has emotional. Do you have that? Are you take that time to write down what you're looking for and
Yes.
see, are you those things? Do you have good credit?
Yes.
That's important to me.
Yes.
So those types of things.
Because
in
if you're
preparation
looking
of-
for that and you don't have it, how are you attracting them?
Exactly.
What are you bringing to the table?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. So let's get into another one.
Yes.
Another one?
Yes.
Okay. So this will be the last myth or fact, and then we'll move on to something else.
Okay.
All right. Myth or fact? Singleness is a quote unquote waiting period until marriage. Is that a myth or a fact? Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's a fact.
We have, we have a myth, we have two myths and two facts. All right, let's talk about it. I love questions like this. let's discuss. So for those who say it's a myth, why do you say it's a myth?
Well, I say it's a myth because it could potentially not happen as far as marriage is concerned. It could potentially not happen. So, yes, that is a time to be prepared for marriage, but in that space and in that time, I'm preparing for other things as well, like we were talking about earlier. And so it may happen that it did not come about in the form of marriage, but it's so much more that I can get involved in and do as well. So maybe it's 50-50. I don't know.
All right, let me repeat the question so the
Okay.
audience can get involved too, okay?
Okay.
All right, so myth or fact? Singleness is a waiting period until marriage. And so we had a couple of people say fact, a couple of people said myth. So you said myth, Pam?
Yeah, I said myth.
Who else said myth?
I did.
Okay, talk about it.
So I think it's a myth because, like we said earlier, not everyone desires marriage. Also, going along with what Pam said, marriage is not guaranteed.
Yes.
We can pray and we can do what we can to try to make that happen. Well, not make it happen, but try to, become a spouse. However, it's not a guarantee.
Right.
And I also wanted to make the point that some people might lose their spouse, or their spouse leaves, or whatever. They might become single after having been married, and then, it's depending on maybe how old they are or where they are in life, they might not go back into another relationship or another marriage, and
Yeah, I didn't think about it in those ways.
Can we
Look
read?
at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read it to us, Drea.
Emma Mullen said it's a myth because
Yep,
singleness is not purgatory. Waiting to be in it. Waiting to. I lost the comment.
Waiting to be
There it is.
in some other state of being. It's not a purgatory. You're not
Yeah.
waiting to
Yeah.
be in some state. Singleness is a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a chance to get to know who you are and who God is to you.
Man.
Look, you need to be right here at the
Right,
table.
like
Yeah.
Brought it on home. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk about why some people feel that it is a fact.
Well, actually, it was a fact because I think that if you are anticipating marriage, it's according to if you're seeing waiting as negative. Waiting does not have to be a negative period, right?
Yeah.
It could be a preparation period.
Yeah.
There's a book that I read at one time called Lady in Waiting, you know? And so it's because we're all at some point waiting for something, right? But I do like the way Emma put it, because if I'm seeing it as purgatory, it's really according to the lenses that you're seeing waiting through, you know? But if waiting does not represent that, if at the end of this shift, now I ain't there yet. I'm not at the space where I can say, okay, God, I accept that you said I will be single. I am not there. but in that waiting period, it's according to what you're doing in that time. So I don't know. I don't know if I said that clearly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm torn. Go ahead,
And
Drea.
Nicole Ford said, we're all waiting for something.
Or something.
Yo, that's my BFF.
Is that my classmate?
Excuse
Is that
me.
your Nicole?
Hey, girl.
I didn't know. I was like, is that our Nicole?
Yeah, she's been in our chat. Hey, friend. But you better talk about it. You're right. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I got off track.
No, absolutely correct, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
When-
And
yeah, something.
I don't know. I got distracted.
Okay.
because I was talking to
Yeah, we
Nicole.
got a little. It's always fun to see, your friends and your church members supporting you. So thank you for that. I do want to switch gears a little bit. We've talked about a lot of myths. We've talked about a lot of facts. The reality is, in this period, in whatever period of your life, you have moments that are easy, right? Then you have some challenges, right?
Yes.
I want to talk about some of the challenges we do face while being single. Okay? You ready? Okay. So, the first one I want to talk about is finding a meaningful and supportive community within a church that may be predominantly focused on families and couples.
Wow.
I know that may sting sometimes because we don't like to hear what we're not getting from a church, but are you guys willing to talk just a little bit of why that can pose a challenge for people, for some people, or what that means?
Well, it can make you feel alone. It can make you feel like you don't have a place.
Right.
You know.
Doesn't it make you also feel like you're supposed to be married?
Yeah.
I'm supposed
Yeah.
to. What am I
Yeah.
just, chopped liver because I'm not married or I don't have children? Or maybe I don't even desire that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what? Where am I now?
Yeah, and then it also can make you feel isolated, or you are isolated. Let's be clear, because it can make you feel isolated, and you are isolated because you're often not invited to the dinners, and so
It's true.
and you're single. So those are the things that can make that invisible but visible scarlet S on your chest that you start believing should be associated with you because you feel that sense of loneliness, like, or feeling a sense of maybe I'm doing something wrong because I am not here. Does that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah,
That's very real.
And May
What's the chat saying?
Thomas said that it can make you feel like an outcast. I certainly understand that.
That is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can also kind of force you into an isolation
Yes.
a little bit because honestly, like sometimes if it wasn't for a few friends that I've had, not at this church, but at previous churches, if it wasn't for me personally knowing someone there, I could go and come and it's like I was not even there.
Missed. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
not even there because everything is about, the families, the couples, the marriages, and that is important. We do
Absolutely.
want to
Yeah.
strengthen marriages and
Absolutely.
families
Yes,
for sure.
because those are God's units,
Yes.
and but God also cares about us.
The single people. Right.
Don't make us cry.
No, it's
So don't leave us out.
Yeah.
just making sure that it's space for all people.
Yeah. All inclusive. Just keeping it
And-
all inclusive.
Yeah, and I wanted to back another thing off of what you said, because sometimes it also forces people into a relationship that they wouldn't have chosen in order that they could be accepted or be a part of a group. And so oftentimes people will choose a mate because I need to link up with somebody so that I can be a part, And I think that's something that is important to acknowledge too, is that we don't want to end up linking just to be connected or to be approved or because this idea of being approved of or accepted.
I love
Absolutely.
that. I love that.
People in the chat saying, yeah, we are invisible sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
And she didn't say sometimes, I'm adding that, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, it is real. But what I think the lovely thing about here and about Fuse is that we're not invisible.
Right.
We
That's
are
it.
our own community.
Yes.
The way we act, the way we are appearing
up.
and showing up is the way we really are.
Yes.
We love each other. We do things together, or call each other. We meet each other at concerts and all that different things. So we're enjoying our time being single while we wait.
Right.
We are living life. We're
Yes.
living
Being
single.
Well, we can do it. We can do it.
We can't do that. No, we can't do that. X that out. But remember that. Remember that show. If you remember that show, they lived their life.
Yes.
They supported each other,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's what we do. And that's why at all the churches, if there's no singles ministry at your church, start one. Start one so that you can have that community.
Exactly. Start one, and so you can have the community. And can I go back a little bit and then acknowledge that it's hurtful and that you feel alone?
For
Because
sure.
I think that oftentimes we have a hard time acknowledging it, and that's why the shame is carried, right? And so you have to acknowledge that you feel alone. Yes, I can create community, and we have done that here, and we are striving for it daily. But the inner person in me, child in me, sometimes that has not always been easy. You know what I'm saying? Because you're often rejected by other singles because of their shame. You see what I'm saying? And so it's important to acknowledge that it is isolating, that it is lonely sometimes, so that way in my acknowledgement, I affirm myself that this is not crazy, this is a real thing, and that I have the ability to meet up with other people and say, okay, how do we grow this thing? And sometimes that can be hard. If you're an introvert, that may not just come to you to build a community. And so everybody does not have that gift of just building. So those of us who do, it's our job to take our time and notice those people and say, hey, they need community. How do I be a part of providing them that?
Julia, someone in the comments said it's a very vulnerable space to be
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
And it really is. It is. So we acknowledge that.
Yeah, and Debbie Goins said singleness is a stage in the growth process. But she said not every seed becomes a tree. Some become a flower.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
That's nice. That's
beautiful.
nice.
Oh, I like that.
And one thing I'd like to add in terms of our group is that we're trying to kill the stigma of singleness, because it comes with a stigma, and I think it's not just churches, it's in general.
Yeah.
In general,
Right.
it's not just in churches. So our hope is to debunk that stigma and just let us be single and fancy free and
In this journey.
together.
Absolutely.
And I see Billy Woods has come up with a lot of suggestions. You should join the committee, Billy.
Exactly. All right.
I
So,
also wanted
okay,
to
go ahead.
add, I think maybe as churches too, we could be more intentional
Absolutely.
about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speak on it.
Well, I was gonna say to maybe, we have our space as singles here, but maybe the church might want to be more intentional about, combining with, married and others, because we can learn from them. Like, what did you do in your singleness? Or,
Yes.
we can learn from
Yes.
them,
There's
and
value
they can
in
learn
in
from
coming
us.
together. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So I think.
Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah, thank you.
That was a message.
It was.
Remember that movie that used to say message? I don't remember. It was on
I have one more I want to ask you guys, though. One more challenge I want to talk about. Okay. We're going to talk about briefly, okay?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, navigating the dating world as a Christian, balancing faith, values, and the desires for incompatible partners. So we're talking about challenges that we sometimes face as singles. I'll read it one more time. So one of the challenges we face is navigating the dating world as a Christian, balancing faith, values, and the desires for a compatible partner. Is that a challenge sometimes?
Yeah, I think that is a challenge. But again, find your tribe. Find your tribe. Find your people that you can be really honest and vulnerable with, so that you can make that call when you're about to jump off the ledge or do something that you shouldn't do. So I definitely think it's important to find your tribe.
Can we put that one on the screen too?
Oh, sure. Let's see if we can do that. I'll read it again. Navigating the dating world as a Christian, balancing faith, values, and the desires for a compatible partner. That is one of the challenges that singles face.
Yeah, and you said you want me to keep that one short, and then maybe we can come back with that one because that's a big topic. We can break that.
Oh,
down.
yeah, that
Yeah.
can absolutely
Yeah.
While we're getting that other one, I like what Leah says. She says, you all should open F.U.S.E. to the Breath of Life Ministries. You guys have something good going, and the non-Huntsville folks could want to join in. Absolutely. Yes, Leah, thank you. Yes, that is one of our missions to just, we're wanting to expand to community outside of church. We are really focused on trying to enlarge this ministry in hopes that we can, touch lives outside the church, of course within the church, but that's how Jesus did. He went outside and he ministered and he touched lives of all walks of life. That is what we're striving for as well.
Yeah.
And it's important because having a community of faith that you can go to, because if you have friends in the world, that's also community, which is fine. And, we all might, but having a faith group that you can will hold you accountable, and they won't have you out here looking crazy and doing things out of loneliness. So that's a really good accountability, like Pam and Drea talked about.
Absolutely.
Wow, the actor's
Can you
box says
guys-
maybe you could extend it where F.U.S.E. is generated in other churches.
I
So,
love that too.
gosh, I think we have a business going on here.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs.
It's just evident that this is real. These
Yes.
these things, these topics that we've talked about this evening are real across the
Yeah.
board,
Yes.
men or women, right?
For sure.
Can you all believe that it's been almost an hour already?
Wow.
Wow. It's been amazing.
This
Yes,
has
it
been
has.
so much fun.
It has been.
Yes, this has been amazing.
I want to thank you, ladies. But before we get down to the thank yous into the chat, I want each of you, if you can, if you have one, what's just a takeaway that you want to provide the audience this evening? And audience, if you have a takeaway, please put it in the chat. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start down on the end of the group. Your takeaway, and if you want to pass, you can pass. But what's the takeaway? Maybe we'll start. Do we want to start with Pam, and then we'll work our way back to you? Okay.
My takeaway from the discussion and all is community. We, there are lonely people out here. We're not dismissing that, and we just want to be a space where people can join us and feel part of a community, and to feel loved and welcomed. And that's the bottom line mission we have, is to love on people, meet you where you are. I don't care what background, what status, any of that. We just want to be available for the needs of people.
Absolutely. And to speak on that, F.U.S.E., all ages, right?
Yes, all
From the young
ages,
to the old,
18
men,
and over.
women.
Yes.
How do I
That's
come
right.
to part of the Single Women Ministry?
That is not our ministry. We're not promoting that today. But there is a single women's ministry.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead to Danielle.
Okay. My takeaway from today would be to remember that God has not created us to be an island. He has created us. He literally made us born within families. So that's your first community. And, he has made us to be relational people. He wants us to be in relation with him, in relation with others, and not to forsake assembling ourselves together. So that means we are made for community. So if you are in the Huntsville area and you are a single, we should probably see you soon in our activities and get-togethers. We would love to have you. And just remember that God loves you and he prefers you.
Man, thank you, Danielle. The pandemic taught us that, right?
Yes.
We had, I know for me, I was not excited about the pandemic, but I was okay with being home at first, right? And I was like,
going.
yeah, right? And then I did crave that companionship, and society did, right? We started finding opportunities and ways to come together in spite of social distancing, right?
Yeah.
So yes, we are meant to be in a community, and that looks like many different things, single, married, and all in between. Juliet, what's your takeaway for us? Before you, I want you to go last as our ministry leader. But I do want to ask Drea. You can finish typing, but I want to hear one from the chat, and then if you have a personal one to take away, that would be great. Was there anything in the chat that stood out to you? I saw a lot, but
I'm trying to look.
Drea's actually typing to you guys.
Yeah, I'm typing
so I call her
It's so amazing.
type.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
what she does. So Drea is a media person. I just want to give you a shout out real quick. Drea, tell the people who you are. Tell the people who you are.
Well, in my former life, I was a musician, and for I can't say how many years, because then you'd know how old I am. But I'm really enjoying talking with people in the chat. I'm not really good at it, but I'll get good at it for F.U.S.E, right? A lot of people are asking about F.U.S.E and what does it mean. I think what my greatest takeaway is. Find your tribe and be honest with yourself. I know with the Excuseless series last week, they talked about being honest with yourself. If you are not okay, it's okay to not be okay in your singleness, but you have to find your tribe, find people that can hold you accountable, that can keep you safe, that can, be that ear that you need.
Maybe have some fun, right?
Yeah, and have some fun as well, because we certainly, as you can see, have a lot of fun. So come join us, everybody.
Thank you.
Juliet, fearless leader, what's your takeaway?
Truly, thank you. You are so amazing. My takeaway, I was calling Drea because Drea is absolutely amazing, and she's got a lot of gifts, and I want the people to know who she is. But Drea is new at Oakland University Church. Danielle is new, moving here to Huntsville, and I think that what's important for you all to know in understanding that is that, and Pam is not new, but new to Oakland University Church, and so. The reason why I'm saying that to you is because we're not just speaking based on an idea. Pam took her time to reach out to Danielle because Danielle is a single woman, and we know you need community.
Yes.
Right? And so Pam wrapped her arms around, and we have been determined to create that space for her. And we are determined to create it for one another, to connect one another to people in this community. Because sometimes you come into this space and you may not know how to fit. Because a lot of us who have grown up at Oakland University Church, we know each other. We've known each other since we were little kids. We went to preschool. We've gone. I matriculated through this whole system from the child development lab, right? And so we know each other very well, and oftentimes we don't necessarily know that we're not welcoming the new in the way that they need to be welcomed. Right? And so my takeaway is I've been asking God for community. I've been asking God to bring me closer to Him, and in this space that has been happening, while I've also been able to give my gifts to bless others. So I ask you to join us, males. If you have suggestions, we want you here. This is not a single women's ministry. Let's be clear. This is a single ministry. We just don't have no males committed to it yet.
Can I also say I appreciate that. I just do want to make the point that as big as this church is, I have felt more welcome here than I have at more close-knit churches, and it really makes a difference when you reach out to someone. And if you are a regular churchgoer, try to be that person. Even if you do have a family or whatever, try to connect people, because you never know the difference it can make. And I do appreciate you.
And then, Tiff, can I just give you one comment from the chat?
One more,
Let's Be Encouraged said, my takeaway is being single isn't a prison sentence. You can still enjoy life.
Thank you.
That one.
Which
last
take
one,
F.U.S.E on tour. Girls trip. But by the time we do that, it'll be girls and guys and girls.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I want to thank everybody. This has been wonderful. Have we had fun?
Yes.
We have. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here. And I saw so many times in the chat, how can you join in? First of all, we do our activities on the third weekend of the month. And so please look for us on Facebook, engage with us. And also, I'll give my email. Is that better?
If you like.
I don't mind. I will give you my email because I am the one that sends out the email communique. So I will give you my email if you are desirous of being a part of this group and want to start getting the emails. Tiffany, so that's TIFFANY tiffany.marie82@gmail.com. Long, but my name, tiffany.marie82@gmail.com. I promise you, I'll reach out to you and add you to the list. And we're looking forward to hearing from you again. And guess what? You're going to see us again, right, ladies?
And then, can I say one thing?
Yes.
I know our time is running out. Yeah. You'll see us again actually in June. And if you can send us an email, tell us what you want to talk about.
Absolutely.
Tell us,
Thank you,
send to
Juliet.
that email, what are some things that you would like us to talk about under the Myth and Fact Guide?
Yes.
And we will be back in June to talk to you more about it, join you in the conversation, right?
Yes,
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
yes.
And we want to say thank you to Miles.
Thanks, Miles. All right, and don't forget, Committed and Covered every third Sabbath at 5 p.m. on Oakwood's YouTube page. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.